Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. This is the first video in my 10 weeks of Mystery Science Theater and Rifftrax Top 10s project, all leading up to the Rifftrax Live Mystery Science Theater 3000 reunion show on June 28th. We're starting things off with a bang with my favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000 shorts. This is going to be a long one, so let's not waste any more time and get right into the list. Number 10.
Judy, Alexander Phipps.
How do you do, Mr. Phipps? So nice you could come.
Oh, thanks, Judy. And the name is Alex.
Xander Phipps.
Did you buy Xander Phipps?
Ah, yes, this is a good place to start. MST is known for its bizarre shorts, and this one definitely qualifies. Every character in this short is weird. It follows a weird young woman who falls for an equally weird young man who's friends with her also equally weird brother.
When he looks at me, I get, squishy.
Oh, that's nice, ma'am. I just trying to sell my magazine.
Besides, we wanted to catch a shower.
Wow.
Okay, run along then.
Even the mother is weird, and says the only way Squishy will get Alexander Phipps' attention is by cooking a conspiratorial dinner for him.
Mom?
It'll take a little conspiracy.
Conspiracy?
A nice little conspiracy for a nice young man.
Like Whitewater.
Now, don't you worry. This isn't the first meal you've cooked, you know.
No, but it's the first meal I ever cooked
Uh-oh.
for Alex.
She's getting squishy.
I know.
Eventually, Squishy gets to the actual point of this whole thing by getting Alexander Phipps talking all about her electric kitchen.
Of mine.
Set the hook.
I'd love to hear about it.
Play him. Plenty of line.
Take your kitchen. Evan, take your home freezer,
Get in.
full of fresh frozen foods. Well, there's a definite saving of time and money.
And you want to study this.
And they're placed this way for a definite purpose. To save work, time, and unnecessary steps.
Golly, I'm so impressed.
He needs to meet a musician.
After what I can only imagine was a very weird dinner, Alexander Phipps gives in to Squishy's charms, and they get together.
How'd you like to go dancing?
Oh, Alex, how dreamy.
Susan slept here.
Number 9.
My trip from Maracaibo started with a ferry ride across the neck of the lake, near the entrance from the Caribbean.
Nice enough fella, drove the boat well, and how they live is none of my business.
While technically not connected to any episode of Mystery Science, Assignment Venezuela is just too good to leave off of this list.
The drilling is done with power and equipment from big barges, tied up to the well platforms.
I thought of you, honey, when I saw the big barge.
Originally intended as a part of an MST CD-ROM which was never completed, this short can be found on the Volume 7 DVD set as well as here on YouTube.
Our man in Venezuela, Pee Wee Herman.
The short focuses on this odd little man settling into his new job in Venezuela before his family arrives.
Por favor, senor.
Bundle my butt.
Donde está
No,
mi equipe?
No comprendo.
I will not give you foot massage.
Creole, the oil company that produced this short, wants to make sure all of its American employees know that being transferred to Venezuela is going to be just great.
I begun to...
I almost felt I hadn't left home when we passed a big Sears Roebuck store.
Because it's called Cram Venta at home, too.
When we drove up to our hotel, just about the most modern one I've ever seen.
There's a motor lodge outside Beloit that comes close, but
Some of the residential areas are almost futuristic.
But they're not, because you realize it's not the future.
Then came the new again. Huge modern apartment buildings.
So I'll be staying here.
Yep.
These seem nice. Oh, there's some stores.
wait.
Huge apartment buildings in clusters on the hillsides. We have nothing like them at home.
Oh, wait, yes we do.
Mike and the bots get pretty dark in this one, but that's why I think it's so hilarious.
The next day, I was taken out on the lake to see the field procedures.
Then shot in the
Before
head.
that day was over, I felt as though I were back in the Navy.
I was dragged behind the boat over beds of coral.
Eventually, they want their people to live in regular towns, where that's possible.
They killed all pets to prove they were serious.
Suddenly, we were in the city.
Shots rang out.
I didn't see that ponga knife coming at me.
Oh, and one final warning about Venezuela: do not judge the width of the lakes there.
Lake Maracaibo seemed narrow here, but it's actually 60 miles wide at one point.
I've taken this opportunity to reassess my views of all inland bodies of water.
Why did I have to estimate how wide that river was? I played it over again and again in my mind.
Well, if it isn't Mr. Big Lake.
Hey, it's Lake Man, everybody. Sure you can wedge into our narrow office, Mr. Big Lake? And so I say, El Fine, on the end.
Number 8.
You went through a stop sign. Better take it easy, Joe.
Out of my head, Reverend.
Are you feeling too happy today? Well, here's the days of our years to clear that right up. It follows the Reverend of a small town who proceeds to tell us 3 extremely depressing stories about accidents that occurred to on-the-job railroad workers.
And it strikes me that the ones who are hurt most by the carelessness that causes accidents are the ones who weren't even there.
I didn't hate accidents enough.
The first story is about a man who breaks his neck rushing out of work to a date with his fiancée.
Oh, not again, Joe.
That's your standard crash foley.
But the trap had sprung on Joe.
Serve you right.
Next, we see an old man actually kill his friend after having a heart attack.
Oh, this is terrible. He died minutes before his time.
George tried to go to Fred Bellow's funeral.
But Baywatch was on.
The doctor.
They'll circle George's house a few times, then go on to the cemetery.
Finally, we see a man who gets blinded only because he was excited that his first child had been born.
Why am I welding? Why would I be welding with this? I don't understand.
You don't have to hold it there.
But one thing you cannot do.
Put your elbow in your ear.
You cannot change it. It is done. And there is nothing you can say to Charlie.
Except gentle
He
pressure.
has said it.
So the leading causes of accidents are joy, sex, and old age?
If you need something to scare you into on-the-job safety, this is it.
America's favorite deacon of death.
Remember to worship at the railroad of your choice.
Number 7.
I hope I never see another spring as long as I live.
I anticipated your complaint.
One of the most famous Mystery Science shorts for just how bizarre it is, The Case of Spring Fever features a hapless man who wishes all springs out of existence just so he doesn't need to fix his couch. This results in a spring demon coming to him and wiping all springs off the face of the earth.
Who are you? The name's Coily. Coily the Spring Spike, they call me.
Coily? Ew.
I heard your wish, and, well, you're going to get it.
At first, our protagonist seems pretty nonchalant about the fact that a mystical being just appeared to him out of nowhere.
No springs.
I love Coily.
That is, until things turn out a little more irritating than he expected. I also love this scene because it has some of that great Crow 2.0 Bill Corbett rage.
You try it 8 more times. Maybe it'll work.
A whopping 2 minutes and 21 seconds after his wish was granted, the man begs Coily to bring springs back into the world.
Please let me take back my wish.
No!
Okay, I'll do it just this once.
So, Coily waited all eternity for this moment, and he backs down almost instantly?
So, a supernatural being appeared to you, granted your oddly specific wish, ungranted it, and immediately left? What's the first thing you're gonna do? Call up your friends and go golfing! The funny thing is, the story's obviously over, but it just keeps going.
All spring action depends on elasticity.
And going.
Welcome to Divot Hills.
And going.
And that's exactly what a spring is supposed to do. Transmits shock from one point to another.
Shouldn't this be over?
Eventually it does end, though, with the most boring and incompetently shot car ride in short film history. And finally, a laugh from Coily to haunt our darkest nightmares.
You'll be the first to die! Jam Handy reminds you to keep your preserves in a convenient place.
Number 6.
I'm having a freak out up to 10 years later.
Did you know that Puerto Rico is just as amazing as the United States of America? If not, then this is the short for you, my friend. Progress Island, USA is absolutely determined to convince you that Puerto Rico is just as good, if not better, than the US of A.
Puerto Rico has been praised for the beauty of her landscape.
And sacked and pillaged many, many times.
Hundreds of businesses, both large and small, have grown and prospered here.
Even the Pink Jeans Company.
The streets of Old San Juan, once the cornerstone of Spain's Caribbean Empire.
Now the site of numerous muggings.
The museum collection represents 5 centuries of American and European art.
I'm not speaking to you.
Travel from anywhere in the world in a matter of hours.
Just like everywhere else in the world.
Puerto Rico offers something for everyone.
Like flights out.
Fun-filled life.
But even with all of those incredible experiences and opportunities, I think my favorite thing about Puerto Rico is the music.
Rich in its heritage of art and culture.
With wah-wah pedals playing constantly.
Okay, let's get funky now.
Don't break my heart, my achy breaky heart.
The music of John Philip Salsa. Progress.
With all that and more, Progress Island USA will have you calling your travel agent as soon as it's over.
We would like to apologize to all the people of Puerto Rico that we did not offend.
Number 5.
I sure didn't think she'd go to a place like that for a date.
With a loser like me.
Have you ever felt awkward trying to get a date? Well, I can guarantee it's never been as awkward for you as it's been for Nick.
With each dial, he comes closer and closer to the most humiliating moment of his life.
With help from a friend, Nick actually scores a date with a girl named Kay, and they go to set up a scavenger sale together.
Oh yeah, who wouldn't have a good time?
June is busting out all over.
Can you help me put the sign up?
Oh, sure.
Sure, I'll do everything. This relationship is suffocating me.
Of course, after just one date, Nick's brain is already tapped out, and he needs the help of an event list to come up with more things for the two of them to do.
Swimming meets, for example.
Are very dull.
If your partner likes it.
That's a big if. One bad idea could mean the end of your
With
relationship.
Kay, you can find many good ideas.
Hey, our
for
luggage
dates.
is here. Woo!
Could be a fine date, if Kay would like it.
Kay, what about my needs?
And baseball games and tapping pool. I think they're swell.
Say, you like to do lots of things, don't you?
Hey, you read the list too.
Say, Kay.
By some miracle, the list actually helps them plan a second date, and Nick and Kay eat ice cream into their happily ever after.
Hey, Nick, hey, come on, we're gonna break open the ice cream.
Okay, be right there.
Ice cream? I love this party.
About Friday?
Had this been an actual date, you would have been instructed where to go.
Number 4.
No, I don't want to buy a
Wait
car.
a minute. Can I tell you about the rear-wheel drive?
How many ways can I say no?
Well, this one's about a priest, a minister, and a rabbi, see? And they're going down this...
No, you're telling it wrong.
Yes, I know the short is split into 2 parts, but the entire thing is so good and I wanted to keep it whole. At first, Hired seems to be about this loser salesman who can't seem to sell a single Chevrolet off of the lot.
And there's that call on Beacon Street.
I'd probably fail there too.
It's way over on the other side of town.
I don't have a car. Hey!
However, it turns out that the short is really about his boss learning to actually help his employees out.
Now that's nearly impossible. No human under my employ has ever sold a car.
What?
The best part is how his 40-something-year-old manager is still living at home with his elderly parents.
There's something extra special worrying you, or I miss my guess.
You've killed again, haven't you, son?
His father, who happens to be somewhat insane, helps him figure out the obvious and improve his workforce.
And that it took his direction and leadership to get the most out of his men.
Ah, flying elves are back.
And I don't believe men have changed much since then.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
How about...
Hey, maybe that's the reason I haven't had very much luck with Jimmy.
I'm gonna dance!
With Henderson.
We're gonna have leadership the way my old man told me. You put a handkerchief on your head. You swatted imaginary elves. You rock on the porch all night.
This short also paved the way for one of the show's best songs.
I just got hired.
He's hired! He's hired! He's hired! Good night. Stay pink, soft, and oily.
We're hired!
Number 3.
Accident reports from my headquarters.
Officer, is this going to take long?
Each figure represents someone injured or killed in the
We got a crop out in the field. We got to cut
city streets.
It's getting late.
Farm roads.
We really got to get.
Highways and railroad.
We got to mow that hay down before we got to get it to
All the
market.
facts and figures are here.
We'll lose a lot of money if we don't.
Well, some of them you've read about in the papers.
Others we hushed up.
Another depressing short centered around trains. Last Clear Chance is about a depressing cop giving driving advice to a newly licensed teenager. Most of his advice just involves watching where you're going and not being an idiot, but the officer focuses mainly on driving safely around trains.
There are many accidents where the driver ran past 3 warning signs and straight into the side of a moving train.
Ah, good riddance, I say.
These are your signs of life, whose purpose is to keep you alive.
Even though you don't deserve it.
That's when the warning sign, the signal, the crossbuck, are really your signs of life.
You see, son, we all die alone and afraid.
Make sure all tracks are clear.
Don't trust anyone. Turn your back on hope and love.
I'm the impish officer of death.
So after almost 15 minutes of this cop giving him all the ins and outs of driving safety, what does the kid do? The exact opposite, of course.
Hi, clouds. Hi, trees. Say, you're a pretty cute road sign. Hi.
His brother, also a moron, ends up driving himself and his girlfriend straight into a train.
Can I have your room?
Well, live and learn.
And as we saw earlier, it's just not a train safety short without someone dying and someone else ending up in critical condition.
So, you want to have a drink? Maybe at the...
You know, son, 40% of all
Oh,
accidents...
shut up, will ya?
Would you identify this bucket full of your brother?
Why don't they look, Ralph? Tell me. Why don't they look?
You're deep, Ernie.
I'd like to thank that morbid conductor as well as the officer from this short for giving the guys the fodder for one of my favorite host segments.
Have fun with your lint trap. Nothing will happen to you. It'll happen to the other guy.
Why don't they? Why don't they look?
And we close with a few more words from our favorite dark officer of death.
Hey, don't tell me you were only speeding a little. Only breaking the law a little. Only doing something a little bit wrong. Save that for somebody else, brother.
Oh my God, he
Because
snapped!
I see too many little follies.
He's a bad cop on the loose.
Someone a little bit dead.
Now I'm going to grab a little bit of lunch.
Number 2.
The lovebirds have arrived.
And they're leaving their droppings all over the place.
Nothing like advertising.
They got engaged last night. Peggy says they're getting married right after commencement.
Married?
It's immoral.
The first short to be riffed after Mike took over as host is This Love is about a college girl getting engaged after only dating a guy for 3 months.
Watch out for snakes.
Are you sure you'll always be in love like you are now?
With somebody, sure.
It also focuses on the girl's roommate and her slow and steady relationship with her fiancé.
All right, let's go talk about our superior relationship again.
Also, you can tell this is an early Mike short because he used to only whisper yell and got over that as time went on.
What the hell was that for? Well, you were supposed to cover down the line, I told you.
My favorite thing about this one is the complete miscasting of almost every character. The girl's old enough to be her grandparents' parents, her totally not a college football player boyfriend, and of course, her elderly roommate.
Ever since we were in high school, Meg, you always talk as though your mother was an ogre or something.
Well, I've known her for 50 years.
Geez, how many times was she held back?
Hi, Peg.
Hi, Mom.
Andy, how's the essay coming?
Not so good, Mom.
Hey, everyone isn't as slow as you and Andy.
Besides, you're a Romulan. Honey, I also got you a subscription to Modern Maturity.
I remember when I first felt that way about Andy.
At the turn of the century.
Think about you and Andy seem so old-fashioned, I suppose you mean.
No, just old.
Even though her parents offer to help them get a house if they wait to get married,
If you'll wait, we can help you get a house and you can set up a home properly.
Oh, take the house.
the two adults elope instead, and their more than likely bleak future is left to the audience's imagination.
Liz and Andy. Is this love?
You have 10 minutes to answer the questions starting now.
Honorable mentions.
So he began saving for it. Each week, he went down to the bank
and robbed
deposited
Many families throughout the country observe the custom of saying grace at mealtime.
Please, God, take me now.
It is all...
I wish I may. I wish
Ah, sort of a westerny, ginghamy, oriental, Danish, modern-esque prairie school sort of thing, huh?
Number 1.
Hold the music.
Oh, thank
Maybe we can make things a little clearer around here. How's that?
It stinks.
Moving.
Oh, Mr. B Natural. What can I say about this that hasn't already been said? Everyone knows how crazy and creepy the whole thing is. So instead of inserting my own redundant comments, I'm just going to play a few of my favorite riffs for you. Enjoy.
Wonderful.
An awful lot of people in my time. Got a well of a lot of swell stories to tell.
I bet.
One of the nicest is about my good friend Buzz Turner. Little guy I first met when he was in junior high.
Mr. B, you're hot.
Wish I could.
Wear tights and prance around.
Wish I... The glamour of the uniform. The thrill of traveling for band competitions.
The all-night coke jags in cheap hotels.
Just like being a member of a football team. And most of all, Buzz, fun.
That's nice. Mom!
If you want, when you want to show dignity, Buzz, try a French horn.
Mr. B, what would you know about dignity? Forget music, I want to dance!
I want to learn, Dad. Honestly.
I want to wear leotards and a Peter Pan hat, Mom, Dad.
You listen to him, Buzz.
Or I'll kill you.
He would be ready to take that big solo.
He'd jam with his imaginary friend.
Now the poor kid grandstands at every opportunity.
Sucks, doesn't he?
It stinks! Now, was Mr. B natural a man or a woman?
Oh, definitely a man.
Oh, no.
A man, definitely a man.
And that about wraps it up. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you join me next week for my top 10 favorite Mystery Science Theater songs. I'll see you guys later.
Mystery Science.